and welcome to another episode of AMC Versus. We've been off for a couple of weeks. We had a bunch of Comic-Con stuff to do, but we're back here, and today's topic, we're talking about which is the better intergalactic space crew, outlaw crew, Guardians of the Galaxy, or the crew from Serenity, also Firefly. Today, we've got some guests on with us. We got Maud.
Yes, my name is Maud. Hi, and I know that this looks like I've already made up my answer, but I actually haven't. I haven't made my decision yet.
And Alicia.
It's probably pretty apparent who I'm going for.
And Schnepp.
Yeah, isn't it plaid versus plaid today? Yeah. Hi.
Yellow plaid versus
yellow
red plaid.
It's going to be a battle.
All right, well, let's start things off with you, Schnepp. Tell me what your positives and negatives about why Guardians of the Galaxy as a crew is better than the crew of the Serenity.
Okay, so if I was going with positives for the Guardians, I would say there's a lot of different aliens on board. Like Firefly crew, mainly humans. With Guardians, you got a green woman who's the daughter of Thanos. You have a living tree which communicates with telepathic Groot, I am Groot dialogue, and you have a genetically altered tiny rat, which all it wants, not rat, sorry, a raccoon that just wants love. So, but also shoots and is very angry, has giant guns and stuff. So, and then I think that's, and then, yeah, that's pretty much the whole team. Oh, and Drax, you know, who's also this like crazy tattooed, freakish, monstrous, hulkish character whose family was murdered by Ronan the Accuser. These are all things that you should know about in the comic book. These aren't spoilers. So anyway, yeah, I would have to say that Guardians wins hands down as far as like, you know, an alien diversity. The positive is there. As far as negatives for Guardians, I don't have that many. It was a really, really entertaining, really fun first adventure, a cinematic adventure that opened up the Marvel Universe. Really well done way to introduce these freakishly strange 70s based kind of freak out, like I'm on a cosmic planet, I'm inside a skull head, I'm in, you know, all these different weird worlds. Thanos, the guy who wants to love death. I mean, all these different really crazy concepts are now just people are talking about it like it's normal. Yeah, Thanos, that giant purple dude is floating on the rock. Yeah, you know, he's pretty badass. I heard Brolin's playing him. Just people eating breakfast talking about Thanos. Yeah. That's weird. We live in a weird world right now. I don't know if you thought about that, but yeah. So I don't think there's really that many negatives. The only negative that I came across has nothing to do with the crew. The only thing for me was like I thought that Ronan could have been more three-dimensional. I thought he was a little bit thin with his like constant like I must destroy that planet. He felt very Malekith-y to me, like Thor, just not enough of a villain. And a secondary villain instead, like, oh, where's Thanos? Oh, here's this other dude who's like, wee, like kind of a little bit crybaby Alice Cooper looking to me. So, if anything, but I still liked him. I thought Lee Pace did a great job. There were moments where Ronan was really awesome. I just thought, boy, they kind of like, I just wish they went a little bit further, showed a little bit more to that character, maybe a little bit more to the Kree. I just need a little bit more. That's me. But that's the only negative I could really think of.
Alicia?
Well, I mean, Guardians is different to Serenity in that Guardians, this is the first time we meet these characters and the first time that they come together as a team. And that, for me, is so much fun to watch, particularly when they are this trope, this ragtag bunch of misfits. Me and Maud have talked about this before. This trope, as we've seen many times in movies, because it works so well. It's fun when you take a group of rebels, criminals, no-hopers, or as James Gunn said on his Facebook, a group of geeks, outcasts, oddballs, and put them together. We've seen that in like the Dirty Dozen, the Magnificent Seven, and Glorious Bastards. They're not the most professional or really the most qualified, but sometimes they're the only hope we have. That is so much fun to watch on film, and it's really great to see all these different characters when they interact. I mean, Rocket is so funny. Groot, I had a great affection for, even though he does only say about 5 words. I love Star-Lord, even though he's very much the cowboy, pirate, rogue that we've seen time and time again, but Chris Pratt plays him perfectly. And Gamora is really cool. Drax, I love how he takes everything really literally. So my favourite parts in the film are when they're conversing all together because they're so different. James Gunn also says that this movie is for anyone who's felt cast aside, anyone who's felt like an outcast themselves. So somehow, in a weird way, they're relatable, even though they're aliens and on this different planet. And that really works. The only Negative, I'll say, is that maybe they're played for fun a lot, and I'd like to know more about their backstory. We get to hear a little bit that Rocket was experimented on. I want to see how him and Groot met. I want to hear more about Gamora and why she decided to turn on her father. I just think there's so much more that could be explored. Hopefully we'll get that in the sequel.
Maud?
We're doing positives and negatives for Guardians.
Yes.
I think that, you know, we are talking about the fact that why are they the best outlaws?
Yeah.
The Guardians are all outlaws. We have a scene where they're all in jail and they do the lineup. They've all broken the rules and the law somehow. So the fact that every single one of them are outlaws is, you know, more so than the Firefly and the Serenity crew, because most of them are good guys. They just happen to be doing bad things. So I think that's probably one of the pros. Another pro is that there's only 5 of them. And with only 5 instead of 9, you can get to know them a little bit better. And they're all funny. They are all funny. There are no kind of like really serious moments with all of them. The negatives is that Star-Lord isn't quite a leader. Like, you know, they have all kind of come together and Rocket comes up with the ideas. Gamora kind of, you know, pulls them into line. Whereas in Serenity, Captain Malcolm Reynolds, it's his ship, it's his say, it's his call. And they all look up to him and he's a strong captain. So group-wise, I think that Guardians of the Galaxy kind of all play their own individual role. And there is a bit of pairing off with Groot and Rocket, so they kind of isolate the group a little bit more. But you're right, they band together for the same cause, and they have come from all walks of life to do one thing. But yeah, because they have only met in this movie, we don't know their pasts and we haven't really seen them together. They've only done a few things, but there's a lot more growing that they can do. Yes. That's me. Good.
All right, my positives for Guardians of the Galaxy is they're actually a way more powerful team. If you took Guardians and you had them fight the crew of Serenity, they'd win in like 5 seconds. They just wipe.
River.
Yeah, they'd
She's
still.
done the whole. Are you kidding me? River could take.
They'd
That's
still
the
wipe her
point of
out.
River.
They'd still wipe her out. She's awesome, but they'd wipe her out, and like Drax would just grab her and just snap her neck.
Okay,
Anyways,
okay.
so I think they're a much more powerful team. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. They're funny. My only negative really is that, you know, during the course of the movie, by the end, we kind of get to know them as a group together, and we finally feel like, okay, this is a team. But throughout the movie, they kept calling each other friends. And I was like, you guys aren't friends yet. You guys, like, you know, you guys barely know each other. You barely even like each other. And they kept saying that, and only till the end did I feel like, okay, this is a cohesive group now. Because before, they were saying that, and the word kind of rang a little hollow for me, you know. And also, you know, we have the benefit with the Firefly crew is like we had the whole TV series before the movie, so we saw like I don't know, 10, 13 hours of that before we saw the movie. So that also plays in the favor of Serenity.
Yep.
So what are the positives for the Serenity crew, Schnepp?
Well, you just said one of the positives. I mean, I can't imagine someone watching Serenity without having watched Firefly.
Yeah.
Me
Alicia.
over here.
Oh, for real? You watched Serenity without having
Yep.
watched Firefly? Wow. All right. Well, now I can imagine it because I really couldn't imagine it up until about 13 seconds ago.
Yes.
But we'll get into what what your experience was.
Yep.
So, but mine was different. I'd seen all of Firefly, obviously way after it was canceled.
Yeah.
I was like, what's this weird Western in space thing that Whedon did? Because I got on the Whedon train, like, I think it was on the 4th season of Buffy. My girlfriend was like, you got to check out Buffy. No, it was the 4th season of Angel. She was like, you got to watch Buffy and Angel. I was like, I'm not watching that stuff. That stuff's corny. Almost didn't go out with her. She was like, get out of here. So I had to check out these TV shows just to be like, all right, look, I'm not going to be a jerk. I'll watch them. And I got sucked in to both series. I thought they were incredible. I actually love Angel season 5. I think it's one of the best seasons of supernatural television that was made. And I won't give away too many spoilers, but they basically take over the like Satan's law office and run it. It's crazy. It's awesome. So anyway, long story short, I was like, what's this, this thing that lasted 3 months on television? It got canceled really quick. It was hard to watch. People were talking about it. I'm a brown coat. I'm like, all right, I got to check this thing out. And I love Firefly. I did watch it like twice, each episode all the way through, but this was back like 7 years ago or something. It was quite a long time ago. Didn't the series come out in 2001?
2001 or 2002?
Yeah.
And the movie came out 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. That's, time is such a weird thing. I'm working on Frozen 4. Just trying to write my own stuff. So yeah, seeing Serenity without having that backstory, because like you said, there's like 9 characters, and you know the character Wash. I had to ask some of these guys like, what are their names again? Because it's been a while. Because I haven't refreshed my brown coat status in a couple of years. I love the show, love the series, love the movie, but you know, I would love to see another one. I would love to see the next Serenity, whatever they're going to call it. If they would just call the movie Firefly, it would be great to revisit those characters, all those characters, see where they're at now. You know.
Because you care.
Yeah, I actually did care, and I thought the Serenity movie was a great movie for fans of Firefly.
It was closure.
Yeah, it was closure, but unfortunately, there weren't enough people who had seen Firefly to know what Serenity was. Like, I don't know, I know about the word. Am I supposed to be calm when I see the movie? No, you don't understand that. Oh my God, yeah. So, you know, it didn't make money either, but now Whedon is the king of Marvel, so with his extra super power flavor gauntlet, he could just be like, sprinkle, next movie. Like Firefly 2, I'm making it. There would just instantly, people be like, how much money do you need, Whedon, in order for you to direct Avengers 3? You know, it's like, come on, if you want to see it, like push Whedon a little bit, give him a break. The guy's killing himself on Avengers right now, but like he can do any movie he wants. If he wanted to do a Firefly,
He could also get it crowdfunded in about 13 minutes.
yeah, you're
honestly.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like, look, I need $5 million. Here's 7. You know.
Yeah.
Or
It'd
you
be
could
very
have
quick.
like Disney and Marvel buy a Firefly property and then just like, here, Joss Whedon, here, you can make this movie.
Yeah, I would seriously, I would like to see that happen because those characters were a lot of fun. It truly was a great Western in space with that in mind. Serenity, if you haven't seen Serenity, definitely watch Firefly first.
Yes.
I think it's on Netflix and Amazon and Hulu. You can see it on any one of the streaming outlets, and then check out the movie. It's really fun. River really gets examined, the powers of this character. Really, you get to see some really cool stuff that you really didn't get to see in any of the TV budgeted episodes. So.
All right, well, speaking of the whole watching Firefly before Serenity, Alicia, what's your take on what are the positives about the Serenity crew?
Yeah, well, I think a big positive would be that they were developed so long over a TV show, so you get to know them and love them. You haven't seen Firefly, and yes, I know it's on my list, along with Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, and it overwhelms me, all these TV shows that I haven't seen, and I started rewatching Serenity again last night, and then I was like, I want to see Fight Club again. It's just, you like what you like. So I missed Firefly completely. Watching Serenity, it's not a standalone film. They have a quick narration at the start, which sets up the whole world, but it doesn't give enough backstory. So you're trying to figure out who are these characters and why do they have such an interesting, who's with what was their relationship? It's so tiring. But I can see that if you are a huge fan of Firefly, then Serenity would be the perfect little treat for it. The positives, I think they are really well-developed characters. They're really interesting. They don't just play it for laughs. It is quite serious at the same time. It's definitely a space western, whereas Guardians, I'd say, is more of a space opera. And Mal is a great character. I mean, he seems very Han Solo to me, and he's fun, and I know Morgan
I'm actually in love with Malcolm Reynolds.
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
You love him completely, and I can see why. I can understand that he's a great leader. So for me, yeah, I should watch Firefly before seeing Serenity, but I still enjoyed it.
The reason why you haven't, this is what everyone needs to know about Alicia and I. We live together, we're best friends. I don't have to watch all the classics because she already has that for me, which is why she doesn't need to watch Firefly because I've already done it for her.
Yeah.
And when you combine our powers, then we've covered everything.
And we're the perfect woman.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about you? Seeing you're wearing the Firefly t-shirt.
I definitely am.
What are the positives about the Serenity crew?
Everyone has their own role. You know, they have a particular role. They are on the ship, so it's like the Mass Effect, I guess you can say, where, you know, you are on Serenity, Firefly. You get the whole kind of feel of everyone's position. At no time, like, I feel that with Guardians, you're like, everyone's doing their own thing or they've got their own agenda and like, you know, yeah, one's kind of a pilot, but everyone can fly and it's just kind of a scrambled mess because they haven't figured it out yet. But on this particular ship, you've got a captain, you've got a pilot. You know that if you're going to do a mission, then you're going to get Jane and Zoe straight away because they're good with guns. If there's any kind of fault in the ship, you know, if something goes wrong, you call Kaylee because she's the mechanic.
Right.
There is just, it's a
Cinematic?
synonymous.
Oh, synonymous.
Is that my word?
Synonymous.
Symbiotic. Synergistic.
Symbiotic.
Symbiotic. Synergistic.
We're just inventing words now.
Synergy.
A lot of
There's
synergies happening,
harmonious
folks.
synergy involved on this particular thing. And like, they're a good-looking bunch. They're absolutely fantastic. They all have their backstory. They're all a bit mysterious. Yeah, I just think that they work flawlessly together, even if they don't like each other half the time. And Captain Malcolm Reynolds is one of the greatest characters ever made. And Alicia and I, we interview celebrities for a living, and I don't get starstruck. And I ran into Nathan Fillion when I was out one time, and got a photo with him, and I was so calm, and I burst into tears because I was so overwhelmed. And it wasn't because it was Nathan Fillion; it's because he had played Malcolm Reynolds. Yeah. He's just the dude. Even though Star-Lord's absolutely gorgeous, and I think I'd like to see him more with his shirt off, but that's another story altogether. So yeah, I guess even the negatives are the fact that there are no aliens, but there's no aliens in the universe that Whedon's created, because I think he'd kind of done that a lot with Buffy and everything there, so we kept it to the humans. And yeah, there are too many, and I think sometimes, because there are so many, a lot of them don't get enough attention. I feel that Shep was a little bit of an unused character. He was a little bit pointless throughout it, except when they did bad things, they felt bad because he was like religion, and they're like, oh, that's right. But yeah, apart from that, I think also they have great one-liners. So the humour does run through them. I'm a leaf on the wind, like people will quote that. And they picked up on little nuances. So Jane Cobb has a beanie that his mum made, and boom, everyone started wearing this beanie. They adopted things, but I think that's the Whedon effect at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. For me, the Serenity crew, because we have the benefit, like we said, with the television series, we get to know the characters more, and we get to know them as a family more. I think they're a much more close-knit family structure than Guardians is, because Guardians, we saw the movie, they come together in the end. Well, that's why I'm so looking forward to the sequels, because we get to see now they're already formed. What are they going to do now? But with Firefly and Serenity, we've already seen that, and yeah, the characters are great. I mean, Star-Lord's great, but for me, Malcolm Reynolds is better. I mean, that speech he has at the end of Serenity, he's like, "I aim to misbehave." Like, he's like, it's like drama and like, I don't know, his character.
The perfect blend.
Yeah,
I swear on my pretty floral bonnet. Like, all of it. You've just got so many great parts for that like people have worshipped. Like, if you ask the audience right now how many people have a Serenity or a Firefly tattoo or a quote, your little sweaty nerds are going to be like, me.
Right.
So yeah, and then the negatives, I guess, yeah, you're right. They do have, because there's 9 of them, some of them do get lost. Like, even like with Shepard, when he, this is a spoiler, I mean, hopefully you guys seen Serenity already. When he dies in the movie,
you kind of were like,
yeah. But when Wash dies, you're like, oh my god.
I needed to be held when that happened. Because it came out of nowhere. Yeah. But if Serenity never happened, River would have been pointless. Right. Like, they had to have Serenity, and it wasn't to bring new people into the whole it was the thing. It was simply for closure. It was for the die-hard fans that were, this was taken away too soon, and they hadn't done half the things that they were supposed to do. And you felt so empty. So Serenity, you would not enjoy it at all, because you're like, what is happening? Who cares?
Plus, Whedon always has to kill somebody.
I know.
Like, he killed Coulson, but he didn't stay dead.
Yeah.
In Avengers.
Buffy, how many times did Buffy die?
Did she?
Yeah,
I think like 3 times.
I can't remember.
Yeah, like
they
2
made
or
a joke
3
of it that
times.
she just keeps.
She keeps dying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Then they got another Slayer at one point. Yeah.
With Whedon.
All right. So let's talk about who we're choosing and why, and then let's discuss, the good and bad points. Schnepp, what are you going with? Guardians of the Galaxy or the crew of the Serenity? Why?
Okay. My short answer is I'm going with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
The longer bit is because we're going with movie versus movie. We're not going with TV series and a movie versus a movie. If I was doing that, obviously I would go with...
No, are we? Because we're talking about what is the better outlaw group.
Well,
and you couldn't have just the Serenity, because the outlaw group, there's more to them.
But that's
we have to include
I can't fairly do that in my mind. I'm just saying, if it was a movie versus a movie, I like the way that Guardians introduced A, the cosmic universe of Marvel, B, all of the characters, and brought them together to become a unified group. Serenity started with them already kind of unified. They were spread out a little bit, but it had a past that it was relying on people who had already seen Firefly, because I know a lot of people who hadn't seen it, were a little confused about certain things. And characters dying had no emotional impact on any of the people who hadn't seen Firefly. It didn't matter that Shep died, and it especially didn't matter that Wash died, even though it was like, I'm just saying, at the end, when it was still shocking. I mean, no, I was shocked because I had seen Firefly, but I'm saying, if I was to abstract and be like, oh, it's harder for a person who hasn't seen this TV series to like just jump and be all in, That's why I'm going to edge out and go with Guardians. I still love both films, and I think Serenity was I'm sorry that it didn't make a lot of money so that we could have had a movie franchise, because I thought it was a great film.
season 2.
It would have, or a season 2, anything. I think it's great. I hope that maybe someday they will do on Netflix. Maybe they can do a Firefly season 2. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Guardians just because it was such an enjoyable film. It opened up this brand new universe of something that I had personally loved for many years that I'd never thought in a billion years would ever. I'd never thought I'd see Nova Prime. I would never thought I'd see any of these things realized cinematically. So for me, it's a joy. So.
All right, I think I know what Alicia's going to say. Who are you going with and why?
Yeah, I'm going with Guardians of the Galaxy, and for many of the reasons that Schnepp said, you don't have to have read the comics to enjoy the film. I've never read a Guardians comic, and I love the movie because you're introduced to the characters, you feel like you're part of the team. Now I feel like I'm included, I'm ready for a sequel. Serenity, if you haven't seen Firefly, I can see how you would have a huge affinity for the crew if you'd watched the season of Firefly, but for someone who hasn't, he has no emotional connection and you just feel kind of left out.
Yeah.
So that's why I just get bored watching that movie, because I'm like, I just don't know what's going on. It's too much work to try to keep up and try to pinpoint things together. So standalone movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is much more inclusive of the audience.
I just don't think it's fair to say that Serenity is just a movie, because if it could have been, it would have been a series again, and they would have stuck to it being just TV only. The movie was because it was an homage to the series, and they needed to do it for closure. So it's just, I like to think of it as a really long TV episode. So the whole movie thing, I feel like we have to include the series.
I feel like they could have done it as a standalone, they just chose not to.
Right.
Yeah.
They could have done more explanation of characters.
I think I think it works as a standalone movie. Obviously, the impact. I think the impact, though, is lessened because you don't know the characters
They're
as
not
much.
really introduced each character.
No, they don't have enough time because they had
straight
so
into
many
it.
loose ends that they needed to kind of fill, that spending time on these characters again to cover old ground, I just think they just didn't have the time, so they made that sacrifice. They're like, you know what? Watch the bloody show, then you'll appreciate this, you know. And if you don't, you're missing out because. And you're right. They did have this very ostracizing feeling where they'd have inside jokes, and if you didn't know them, you'd be like, well, I feel left out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that. But I do have to say that the Serenity crew, they're better. They're better because they are family. Yeah. You know, these guys, we don't even believe that they're friends yet. But this crew, they are family, and they have each other's back, and they will die for each other. They have died for each other. And they are facing things together. And I think that togetherness makes them the better outlaw crew.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah!
I'm going with the crew of Serenity. I understand your point about not, you know, being standalone, but I cannot unsee Firefly, you know? Like, I think, Alicia, if you watch Firefly, you'd realize, like, all the backstory and all the dynamics of the relationships between all the different characters.
Well, you just asked me.
And so, like...
Give me the cliff notes.
Okay.
But it's only 10 episodes.
It's 10 episodes. You should
10
watch
episodes.
it. It's worth it.
All right,
It
I'll
is
watch
worth
it. I'll watch it, people. YouTube commenters.
Yeah,
go
watch it before you see these other shows that are like 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Firefly, you can like smoke through it in 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's actually an episode which is kind of the origins episode, Out of Gas, where like something happens and they have all these flashbacks of how they all came together.
That would be interesting.
So yeah, for me, it's the family thing. Like they really do feel more like a family, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, while they're great and they have great dynamics, they just became friends.
Yeah.
And with the crew of Serenity, I just feel like, man, like I feel like if I was on that ship, like I'd be part of this group and family. Where if I was on the Guardian ship, I don't know, they'd probably like toss me out the
airlock. Zing, beam.
See you later.
Probably.
You know what though? Like I said, I have to preface it if how I feel, we're not including the series, so it's like it's a hard one to throw down because it's
a hard
like
variable.
I love Firefly.
It is.
I consider myself a brown coat, so it's sort of one of those things where I'm like, but if I have to just like I'm only talking about films.
Yeah.
So that's
No,
that's
I
why,
totally understand where you're coming from.
We're coming at different points, but I'm sticking to the Guardians. But I'm
That's what
siding with you guys as far as the TV show thing goes.
That's what makes it interesting, all our different opinions.
All right, guys. So that's our
Outlaws.
thoughts on AMC versus for which is the better intergalactic outlaw crew. But we want to know what you think. We're gonna put a poll down there. You can vote on it. Which do you think is better, the Guardians of the Galaxy crew or the crew of the Serenity? And let us also know, do you think the television show should be counted into the Serenity votes, or should it be excluded? Because there's a
gray area.
Yeah, it is a gray area.
Yeah.
So personally, I can't unsee Firefly, so I have to include it. All right, so I'd like to thank the people joining me today. To my left, Maud, where can people find you?
Hey, just search Maud Garrett on everything. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it.
And Alicia, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Alicia Malone, and I think the best Outlaw crew is AMC Movie Talk.
Hey, there it is.
And Schnepp, where can people find you?
Find me at Twitter, Instagram at John Schnepp, and support supermanlives.com. Help me finish my documentary.
Yes.
And you can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Thanks for joining us, and make sure you vote, because I guess you know what we say, it kind of matters, but ultimately we want to know what you guys think. So make sure you vote, and we'll talk about the results next week.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.